Hi, Beth Neville here for Art and Life on another beautiful August day. Actually, you know what? It's the day to vote. I hope you're voting today, September 1st. No? 29th? We vote tomorrow? That's right, we vote tomorrow. Today's my daughter's wedding anniversary. That's right, today's the 29th, okay, of August. Oh my goodness, we're so upset here. Okay, so the fountain is playing, the birds are out singing, and we especially have those beautiful phlox that I talked about last weekend in the other video, earlier one. And I wanted to show you again the watercolor that I did from that watercolor session. Remember, it was about negative and positive shapes. And in watercolor, we leave the white paper, so this is the negative shape. The hostas was the positive shape, and that therefore we painted it in. Now I want to go back briefly to a couple of weeks ago when we did zinnias, and I hope we can see this up on our video screen here, because I'm not sure that I really ever was able to show you how much different this looks once we put the yellow in among the greens. So if you're interested in this type of almost botanical painting, go back to my earlier session just a couple of weeks ago about how to paint a zinnia, and you'll see a much more detailed, precise, and accurate rendition of a flower. Today, we're going to work again with phlox, which has a very wonderful fragrant smell. In our garden, we have white phlox. So that was the inspiration for negative and positive shapes. And what I'm going to do next, my husband, Robert Neville, the videographer, thank you. Tom Pilla, editor, thank you very much. We are going to go to my porch, and we're going to attempt to do a very free, emotional rendition of white phlox with oil paint on a little piece of canvas paper. So it'll very much be a sketch. I definitely will not finish it today, but hopefully we'll learn something about how to handle oil paint and a negative shape. Okay, we'll see you in a minute. We are up on our little porch with my sculpture in the background of Cape Cod. Always fun to look at it in the summer. And here is the phlox. Now, you know, if you've watched me demonstrate before, the most important thing is to analyze what you are painting, whatever it is, so you really understand it. If you don't understand the structure, you're just sort of making things up. And that is not a good way to go, either in painting or in politics. Okay, so the phlox is made up of a cluster of smaller little tubular flowers. They have a tube shape, and then at the end a little blossom comes out, and we counted last week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, very different to have 5 little segments. And I've noticed the hummingbird coming around. It's really quite interesting. The hummingbird seems to like to get down into that tube, and I don't know how it does it because it's such a narrow little tube, but they're obviously after the nectar. Then further down below, where the cluster breaks out, there are a number of branches, quite a number of branches. Some of them contain buds, and the bud comes up on a tube with sort of a little kind of a bullet-shaped form. And then there are other areas where the flower has already dropped off. This is a fairly old flower, so it's lost a lot of its florets that come out here. There are also some little leaves in there that branch out. So I see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see about 5 or 6 little stems coming out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, maybe 7 or 8. So it's very complex. It starts out with a bunch of branches, then those branches branch out again, and those little branches end up in either finished flowers or the real flower or the buds. So we're going to turn around now, and I'm going to try to see what I can do about painting this. It's going to be complicated to paint this in oil. I've put some white out here, white paint, and on my palette. You know, I just have this little piece of cardboard with wax paper over it. It doesn't have to be very elaborate. Now, we're painting, unlike watercolor, where you leave the paper white. With oil, we're going to paint white here. So it's not going to show up. I can guarantee you are not going to be able to see it. But I have to do it anyway. So I'm going to take some of the pure white paint, and I'm going to dab on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I'm just being almost very arbitrary about this because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do not want to get into an extremely realistic painting. Now, just because you can't see it, all right, we're going to pretend that there's a little bit of a shading on this flower, and which there is not. It's a pure white flower. So I'm going to add a little bit of blue and a tiny little bit of one of the violet colors. All right, try to get, oh dear, too much, way too much. Pink, pink, pink. Oh, that's dreadful. All right, okay. All right, back to the white. We're just trying to give this the tiniest, still too much, way too much. All right, and maybe a tiny bit of, all right, let's see if that'll do it. Okay, so we're going to try to get a little tiny touch of color in here. Even I can't see what I'm doing. All right, now we're going to address some of the ones from the side. All right, there's another one from the side over here. Okay, now the only way we can make this show up is to go after the background. So what I'm going to do now is to put out a little bit of sap green, and I'm going to mix that with, never paint out of the tube, always mix it with something. Even if you think it's absolutely the perfect color, I would say that is a rule. There are very few rules, but one of the rules is mix it with something. We do not paint out of the tube. All right, we're going to try to apply some color to the background here in an effort to try to make this flower pop out a little bit. So if this is the tubular one, okay, and then this is let's say this is another tubular one down here, and then over here, this was another one I filled in. And you can tell how rough I'm being with these. I'm, just not, can't even see what I've done here. Probably if I were doing a painting of white flowers, I would give myself some guidelines on the canvas first, almost certainly. I can't imagine when I've painted white flowers in the past, and I've done a beautiful one of white flowers that was for Bob's, my husband's mother's funeral. I did some drawing first because otherwise, it's very hard to tell where you're going. All right, let's be very casual about this. Let's pretend there's some of these lines coming down now toward the stem. I think that might be useful. Flick in some of these. Now I think at this point what I would do, being very impressionistic about this, I would go back to the white, pick up some of the white again, probably add some more white in here. Try to just give the impression of the flower. There's a tubular one. It's getting a little too green. Maybe over here some white. And more white up here. I was trying to get some sort of a sense for that phlox, the laciness of it. The problem with trying to show all of you on in a video how to do this. And the reality of painting is very clear. Painting takes a long time. And we're trying to get these segments down into 30 minutes. So how in 30 minutes am I going to show you a process that actually takes 2, 3, 4, 5 hours? Very complex situation. And this is the result. We get sort of a vague, kind of a weird, to put it mildly, weird image of a phlox. All right, let's just say this is, okay, phlox. All right, so there we go. Okay, now, what would we do to, for a next layer to make this flower? Flower, you say, Beth? Flower? Bloppy flower? I wonder if Van Gogh felt that way. He could draw. Oh, Van Gogh could draw. Oh my gosh, he was just an amazing draftsman. So that's the trick. Don't ever think that those great painters, Impressionist painters, did not know what they were doing. They certainly did know what they were doing. So in order to try to define this, what we're calling a flower, I'm going to put some violet around it. And that hopefully will make this pop up a little bit more. And let's kind of do some of that. And underneath here. Now, to try to get that lacy sense of the interior of the flower, I'm going to switch brushes, all right, here, and I'm going to try to just hint at the openness and maybe even just a little hint in here. It's a very, see what a lacy flower it is? It's a very lacy flower. So let's see if we can't get some sense of the complexity of it and the openness of it. All right, I think it's kind of got sort of a, let's put in a few more little flecks here. Yeah, oh, I like that better. We're going to open this up a little bit. Actually, I'm liking it a lot better. Surprising. All right, let's add some, really, okay. Now, just for the fun of it, how about a really vivid? Okay, I think we're going to call it quits with this, except for, let's think about what some leaves would do to it. Let's put more around here. Yeah, this will, the more this background has violet in it, you see, notice I'm painting right out of the tube, which I said you shouldn't do. Oh, goodness, Beth, you said don't do that. Don't paint out of the tube. I'm painting out of the tube. All right, we're going to ignore all that. Okay, let's put a couple of leaves in. We're going to go for just a ordinary, the same sap green we had before. And let's look at the leaves. They're lancet shaped, very simple, no serrations. They come out like little spears. So they're going to be very easy to draw. Paint, we're going to, let's see here. We're going to come down. They have that shape. I will fill that one in. All right, let's pretend, well, it's too late to pretend there's one up there. Well, maybe it isn't. Yes, it is. Green over violet doesn't work very well. Okay, maybe we can cure that by adding some white to it. We'll see whether we can do that. Let's add some white here. Oh, that really helped a lot. Oh, that helped. Now let's see if we can do the same thing over here. Oh yeah, way to go. Okay, let's get stem coming down. More leaves. How about a leaf? This always baffles people. How about a leaf that's coming towards us? Okay, let's just take that on. A foreshortened leaf. It's going to look like this, and like this, and like that. That is how it looks. Weird as it may be, that is a a leaf that's coming towards us will look like that. And then one that goes back, let's take one out to the side. All right, we'll do that. And there's our foreshortened leaf. And let's add a little bit, let's be bold, let's add a couple of little, oh yeah, that really helps. Oh yes, way to go. Okay. Ugh, too much. Okay, we don't want to overdo that. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to squeeze out, this is magenta, all right, magenta, we're going to squeeze this out. All right, we're going to put a little bit of our painting medium with it to kind of make it a little bit syrupy. We're going to go for syrupy. Too much. Oh well, it'll be all right. Okay. Okay, we're mixing this around. Now, taking our bigger brush. See what happened when we, oh, and that's good. It's got some green mixed with it. That's a real plus. That's fun to have. I don't think we want that much green, but we've got some green mixed in here. So that will add a lot to the complexity of the color. And we're going to come up here. And I want to head down more into here. Yeah, having that little bit of green in there really made a difference. And you see how much more viscous, fluid the paint is when we have that little bit of oil mixed with it, that medium. So we're going to outline this. We're going to come really, we don't want to get rid of that. And we're coming down here. We're almost done. Okay, coming down. In one big fell swoop to outline, watch. See? One big line to outline, and then you kind of go zip, zip. Okay, watch again. One outline. Then we don't want it to look like it's outlined, so we kind of speed around. Let's get in our foreshortened leaf here. Very different, kind of a leaf. Yes, I know it looks weird, but that's how foreshortened things look. And over here, I'll get some more. Let's get some of this dark in here too, that will help. Particularly right here, I think we really want to have it be quite dark, quite emphatic, right at that point. And now, using up the rest of the paint, coming down here. Okay, and you notice I'm kind of swooping around. I'm not filling in, I'm not agonizing over every stroke. I'm just kind of I'm turning the brush this way. This is a filbert, by the way, a small filbert. I'm turning the brush over, back and forth. Get rid of those peeking holes, they're kind of just annoying. I'd like to see darker in here. I really want to see this dark. This should be very, very dramatic up here, not just pink. Now, some places it looks like finger paint. We want to get rid of that. I don't want this to look like it's finger painted. So therefore, I'm going to do a little bit more smooshing around. Excuse me, sorry about my throat. I don't like the white in the middle. See that white? It looks part like a flower. So carefully, very carefully here, sometimes you have to be careful. We're going to come down and fill in those white spaces because I don't want it to look like that's an extension of the flower. Now I think the green stem should be very strong. So let me clean off, let me clean off this brush a little bit here and get into the green. All right, let's take on those leaves. This is very, you don't want to get too, All right, let's do that. And let's come down here. That one I like. I like that better. I like that better. Okay, now, good strong line there, then lighten it up. Let's do that for our foreshortened leaf, and then really strong down here. I'd really like to see that strong, and maybe, okay, this particular spot pops right out. That is a mistake. So, how are we going to fix it? We're going to go back to pure white. We're not going to erase it, but we're going to put a dab of white into the middle of it. And I think we cured that. Yeah, it popped out too much. Okay, I think, what do you think, Robert? Should I quit there?
I think so.
Done, isn't it? I'd say it was done.
Go.
Okay, well, there it is. An impression of Phlox where you paint the white and make it pop out by having a color around the outside. Okay? So that's what makes the flower pop out. This is a negative shape, and how are we going to paint it? White, leave the white paper with watercolor, and paint it white with oil or tempera or acrylic. All right, so, all right. Beth Neville for Art and Life. Thank you for watching. And pretty soon, in the fall, I'm going to take on sunflowers and pumpkins and squash and all those wonderful orangey colors. We may even do a jack-o'-lantern. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Okay, so hope to see you next week. Have a great Labor Day.